Today's video is American versus European suburbs and why the U.S. suburbs suck.
We are Greg and Lisa, an American couple living abroad in Spain. If you are curious about the crazy, funny, and surprising differences between the U.S. and Europe, you came to the right place.
Poor America's getting a beating.
I know. That was just funny. We'll let you judge. All right, so this is Adam something, which is a hilarious name. I like that. And I will include, or we will include a link in the description so you can go and show him some love. All right, let's see what we got here. Okay, ready?
Okay, yeah.
This is a typical American suburban street. It's wide, the houses are very far apart and look mostly the same.
Yeah.
There is barely anything on the well-manicured lawns, post boxes, a few trees or bushes, and the occasional fire hydrant.
There's some places in America that are worse than this. This is obviously like, I don't know what this is, but like Texas where they're all kind of like spread out. But if you go to like Vegas suburbs, oh man, you talk about the same cream color.
Well, Vegas is you can only do it one way because you got the desert. You can't have houses that don't belong in the desert.
Yeah, so this actually looks pretty.
Yeah.
Now compare this to a suburb in Leipzig, Germany. What differences do you notice?
Okay. I know he's making a video, but there's places that look like that in America too.
But not in what we consider the suburbs, which is like further out of town.
Right.
But like in Oregon, Portland, Oregon, they look like that.
Right.
But it's more closer to the city.
Yeah.
I don't know.
First off, there is stuff around you. The streetscape is very diverse and mentally engaging. In comparison, the American suburb looks like a desolate urban wasteland.
Right.
Also, in the European suburb, the street is narrow, there is a 30 kilometers per hour speed limit, and the buildings are close together.
Well, I wonder how they define suburb.
I don't know.
Because in Europe, for example, the suburb might still be relatively close. And then I think another thing, I don't know, but maybe because of public transportation, it like brings the city and suburb closer together. Mm-hmm. And so you still have some of the city aspects, even though you're a little further out.
Mm-hmm. That's very true.
Yeah. But in America, it's like you can't have a train that looks like a train track or something. Like that's not going to be in the suburbs.
Mm-mm.
Do notice the tram tracks. In this suburb, you can live car-free. If you want to go to the center, you can either take the tram or ride your bike for 20 minutes on dedicated bike lanes.
Yeah. I know they were doing that in certain parts of California. They expand the train line. The BART station.
California always seems to be leading the trend in things.
Yeah.
It's pretty.
Yeah, it's pretty. Oh, slow down there. Whoa.
Or take the S-Bahn because there's also a train station. In the American suburb, you have no option but to drive. Head out onto the busiest road, a horrifying mix of street and road, onto the jammed highway, and after an hour, you'll be in the center,
McDonald's,
searching for a parking
Taco Bell
spot.
Yeah. Yeah, this is typical.
How about going to a restaurant? In the European suburb, there are dozens of different, unique, local restaurants reachable on foot, by bike, or public transit. In the American suburb, you're an hour walk away from a chain restaurant next to a busiest road. If you want to eat,
100%.
You gotta get in your car.
Yeah. It took us 45 minutes to walk to Starbucks.
I mean, you can.
And that was like the closest cafe, and there wasn't anything else.
In some places, you can live close to, like they might have apartments or something in the city center or something or close by. You can, but I guess it's not the suburb. I don't know.
What if you have children? In this European suburb, there are 3 schools close by. Kids can walk or bike there on their own and learn to be independent early on. In the American suburb, a child could get to school after 35 minutes of walking, mostly along a busy arterial road, also having to cross a 6-lane road. And somehow, there's no crosswalk, so kids have to be driven to school every day by mommy and daddy.
Yeah.
That is true.
That's true.
The same goes for sports. Over here, kids can take a 10-minute walk to the nearest sports field.
And I would say, on back to the school part, that in America, there is a safety concern. So this with abductions and stuff like that. I mean, we see it happens all the time. I'm not saying it doesn't happen anywhere else, but it is a thing there that you definitely have to be. When I was little, I walked home. When I was like, I remember getting in the house when I was like 5 years old. I had to call my mom because she had to work because it's America, and then tell her, "Hey, I made it home." But yeah,
that's crazy.
5 years old. Can you believe that? Dang.
Or a 3-minute bike ride on calm, safe streets on their own. In the US, it's a 40-minute march through a maze of streets partially along a major transit artery. Gotta get in the SUV and let mommy drive you to practice. This is where the term soccer mom originates from, by the way. People lament today's children for being overly dependent on their parents. But in such neighborhoods, children don't have a choice but to be dependent. Otherwise, they cannot go anywhere. They are stuck at home. In contrast, in European suburbs, kids can be let out safely to move around on their own, to go to places they want to, without the need for the mommy and daddy taxi service.
He's really leaning into that mommy and daddy.
Yeah, he's really leaning in.
He keeps saying that.
Do note that yellow residential building on the left. That is a mid-rise. European suburbs tend to be a mixture of those and single or multi-family homes, like on this street.
Right.
Yeah, there's a lot of apartments here in Spain.
Oh, yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
Zoning in US suburbs only allows for single-family homes, and they are usually placed very far apart, leading to low density and long distances. This makes public transportation non-viable. Over here in Europe, hundreds of people live within walking distance of this tram stop. In the US,
it's hard because that's the American dream, to have a nice big house, nice big yard,
land,
have land, So we're over here, they just give me a 900 square foot apartment, piso.
Yes, if you put a tram stop here, you'd have a few dozen people living within walking distance. Meaning, even if you built public transit here, almost nobody would take it, because no matter how you build it, people would be too far away from it. If you're half an hour away on foot from the nearest tram stop, you'll take your car instead. And people do.
True.
So giant highways had to be built, rammed right.
Yeah, and that's why in America, kids there's school buses.
Right.
They take the school bus to take them to school.
Right.
Into the city, usually demolishing non-white neighborhoods in the process. The end result was mass motorization all across America, constant traffic jams, noise and pollution, but not for the suburbanites. It was the urban dwellers, particularly those who were poor, who had to live near high-traffic areas in cheap, low-quality housing. The suburbs also became a growth Ponzi scheme, where income from the suburbs couldn't cover future infrastructure overhauls, so the city had to expand and sell new properties constantly to get enough money to maintain what they already have. Not Just Bikes did a great video about this, link in the description. The suburbs and car-centric development were useful political tools in the 1950s to enforce a Christian conservative, white nationalist hierarchy within American society, where white men are on top, women are at home, fully dependent on their husbands, and where all resources are channeled towards the white middle.
That's super interesting.
Yeah,
I see what he's saying.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, because it's like the wife, they go out, it's more affordable, so you can run a household on one income. The wife can stay home and do what she is supposed to do, cooking, cleaning, all of that.
Right.
Good old America.
And upper class in the form of billions in state subsidies, and the rest of society, poor people, non-whites, were left to fend for themselves in decaying urban centers sucked dry financially by the parasitic suburbs around them. Car-centric planning became a weapon of choice for conservatives in order to maintain the unequal status quo. And this phenomenon isn't unique to America. In Europe, as our cities transition away from cars, the opponents of this change are almost always conservatives. While the incumbent Paris mayor campaigned on eliminating 50,000 parking spaces, her conservative opponent, who looks frankly diabolical even by French standards, wanted to halt decongestion measures. In Prague, a city
That's not our personal opinion.
Yeah, we didn't say that.
We didn't say that.
He said it.
Yeah.
overrun by cars, conservatives keep screaming about these cyclo-fascists ruining the city after a shadow is painted somewhere. Meanwhile, conservative district mayors are busy turning sidewalks into parking lots. In Madrid, the conservative city leadership cancelled the ultra-low emission zones, leading to local protests to bring them back. In Budapest, we have Orbán's far-right conservatives screaming about how there is a witch hunt against drivers by the new center-left mayor, and complaining how in inner-city Budapest it's almost faster to walk now than to drive. Even in Germany, Bavarian conservatives are dumping money into highways while letting the rail network fall into disrepair. As a rule of thumb, in every city with decongestion measures, you'll also find conservatives screaming about the war on cars, the symbol of hierarchy in transportation, where the affluent suburban minority gets to occupy 80% of public space inside cities, compared to the more egalitarian space use of public transit and bicycles. God forbid you have to get out of your giant SUV of death and get on a tram with the peasants. Of course, upholding the conservative hierarchy isn't why suburbs are built today in the US. It's mostly just a necessary continuation of the Ponzi scheme that began with the first suburbs. Also, it's due to faulty zoning codes not allowing for mid-rise developments that would actually make more money for the city, increase density, and make public transit viable. In Europe, our suburbs are mixed, with both mid-rises, single and multi-family homes. They're an organic part of the city and contribute fairly to the local budget. There is also subsidized, affordable public transit. All in all, it's more egalitarian. And if the US situation sounds depressing in contrast, as an American, there are things you can do to potentially help change things. If there is a local transit riders union, go join it. Look if there are any initiatives on the ballot for traffic calming, bike lanes, etc. Show up to your local town hall meetings and advocate for zoning reform, ending parking minimums, and so on. If you're persistent enough, your ideas will be heard, and you can help push America back towards sensible, fair, more egalitarian urban planning, one neighborhood at a time. That's what I would do if I were you. Thank you for watching. Oh, and by the way, there is now a new membership option for my channel, so if you wish to support me making content like this, please consider becoming a member by pressing the join button next to the subscribe button. And I'll be seeing you next.
Okay.
All right. Well, I mean, I don't know. What do you think? It's interesting.
Yeah, it was interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting why and how it was the suburbs were even formed.
Yeah, I don't think I knew that.
Yeah, I don't think I knew that either.
I think one thing I found interesting is that a lot of the issues that he was saying were in America are also here. So, which, you know, we're learning, and with learning comes learning about the good and the bad. Right. So right now we're in this stage of like bliss, where everything's great.
That's true.
America is not.
Yeah.
What was that? I don't know. But I mean, that's kind of how it is right now. But
yeah.
All right, let's take a look at what people are saying about this here. Okay. All right. And okay. Let me see. Let me make this a little bit bigger for you so you can see it. All right. As someone who has lived in Europe my whole life, that drive around the suburbs was genuinely shocking. It felt more like a Gmod map than a place where people live.
Oh, well, yeah, I'd be curious to see what Europeans think. Like, the suburbs in America just look like the suburbs in America to us. It didn't look weird, or that's what they look like. So I guess Europeans think it looks weird.
Yeah. Let me see. I grew up in suburbia and hated the suburbs. For me, the suburbs meant cookie cutter houses, car dependency, and crappy big box stores. Imagine my surprise the first time I went to a European suburb, and it was really nice. Nice houses, big sidewalks, town centers with lots of cool shops within walking distance, and a tram line with the frequent service into the city. Last one here. This is the reason why in the US, when teenagers get their first car or their driver's license, they get extremely hyped and excited. I don't know. I guess he's saying because it's so far out.
Yeah, so you get to drive.
I don't know, but
you have to. Like, that's why so many. Well, there's a mix of kids out there not getting their driver's license right away. But
all right. Well, that was interesting.
Yeah.
So anything else?
No.
All right. Before we leave, if you like what you saw here and you want to see more of it, please do subscribe to the channel. And also hit the notification button. That way you can be notified when we release our amazing, fun, and exciting, fantabulous videos. And I think that's it.
Yeah.
All right. Peace.
Bye.